when the saints go marching in.
Vox Fidei brings you into the inner life of the Word made flesh. Father Chris guides us in the lives of the saints in Saintly series.
Welcome to Saintly series. Today, 16th of November, we celebrate Saint Margaret of Scotland. Margaret was born into a noble family of Prince Edward Atheling, an Anglo-Saxon prince, and Princess Agatha of Hungary, who was the granddaughter of King Edmund Ironside of England. Margaret's childhood was marked by the Christian education she received in Hungary. By the year 1057, Margaret and her family had returned to England after her father was summoned by Edward the Confessor, the then King of England. This was in order for him to succeed him in his kingship as King of England. Unfortunately, her father died shortly after he arrived in England. After Edward's death, a dispute broke out concerning who would take over the throne of England. This dispute was resolved by the Norman conquest, after which William the Conqueror became the king. This conquest threatened Margaret's safety in England, and so herself, together with the rest of her family, had to flee to Scotland, and on the way they suffered a shipwreck off the coast of Scotland. It was here that she met King Malcolm III, whose father Duncan had been murdered by Macbeth. They got married when Margaret was 20 years old. Margaret was not just a queen in Scotland. She was a mother par excellence. Although she was very much caught up in the affairs of the household and country, she remained detached from the world. Her private life was austere. She had certain times for prayer and for scripture. She ate sparingly and slept little in order to have time for devotion. She worked hard to unite the Celtic Church with the Roman Church, such that they adopted observances like Lent, Easter, and also influenced the country to keep Sundays as holy days of obligation, avoiding work. She influenced kings and noblemen, including her own husband. She was responsible for the revival of the monastery of Iona, which had fallen into great rot, and also built hostels on both sides of the river Forth for pilgrims to St. Andrews. Margaret spent her time taking care of her husband, her 6 children, and the poor. But she was heartbroken and devastated when she learned of the death of her husband and her son at the Battle of Alnwick against William II of England. Although she had been on her sickbed due to illness, upon hearing the news of the death of her husband and her son, she took it as the will of God, and she died 4 days later, on the 16th of November, 1093. Our voices and our deeds as Christians, especially as mothers, is enough to change an entire nation. Margaret's Christian faith was shown in her love for the poor. She was very generous with material gifts that God had blessed her with. Margaret also visited the sick and nursed them with her royal hands. She is the patron saint of those falsely accused, the patron saint of the homeless, of the insane, of orphans, of mentally ill, of midwives, of penitents, of single mothers, of reformed prostitutes, of stepchildren, and of Scotland. The date of canonization is 16th November 1250 by Pope Innocent IV. The color of the day is white. What we offer the saints is veneration. Peace be with you. I am Father Chris, Vox Fidei.
when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in.
Vox Fidei, God is in charge.